Hello everybody, my name is InfiniteGamer and welcome to What Is, the series where we ponder the question, what is? And today, I've readied myself, because I'm sick and tired of games coming through that door and hitting me. I think I got it. Oh. Ghost of Tsushima is an action game made by Sucker Punch Studios. Development started in 2014. After Sucker Punch finished their infamous series, they wanted to start on a brand new project. They didn't have much to start with, but they knew they wanted to focus on melee combat set in an open world. This would be the game's foundation, but now the team needed to figure out what to put on it. The team went through some concepts, but when they came across the first Mongol invasion of Japan in 1274, they knew exactly what to do next. They would make a game set in Tsushima, about a samurai that would fight against the Mongols trying to take control of his home. The team was clearly excited about this project because things were about to get serious. Since they were taking inspiration from a real-life event, they wanted to try and be as accurate as they could be for a video game, starting with the samurai himself. Now, technically, the time period the game is set in wouldn't have samurais. Samurai? Samurais? Anyway, this time period wouldn't have these trained warriors running around the battlefield, but Sucker Punch wanted the game to appeal to a larger audience, and a normal soldier isn't as cool as a samurai. Honestly, it really isn't. Since the samurai wasn't very realistic, Sucker Punch decided to make sure that his sword work would be. So Sucker Punch brought in a real samurai martial artist to do the motion captures for the game's combat animations. Now that our samurai is feeling a little more like a samurai, it's about time we look at the land he would be protecting. Tsushima is a real-life island located in between Japan and South Korea. This island was affected by the Mongol invasion of Japan, so the team wanted to try their hardest to make Tsushima as accurate as possible. In order to do this, the team got hold of Sony's Japanese studios, SIE Japan Studio. This studio helped Sucker Punch send 10 of their artists to Tsushima Island to learn about the entire island, from the landscape to the culture practiced during the 13th century. Dude, Sucker Punch was just like this.
Do you know how I prepared for today? I learned. I know your language, your traditions, your beliefs, which villages to tame and which to burn.
And Sucker Punch was still not done. Along with all of this, the team also studied 13th century kanji, which are the symbols used in Japanese writing. The team was advised not to put any real people from the invasion in the game, as it would be insensitive to real people who fought and died during the invasion, meaning all the characters and actions those characters perform are purely fiction. I know, it's kind of sad that there's not a real Ghost of Tsushima. After 6 grueling years of work put into their craft, Sucker Punch released Ghost of Tsushima on July 17th, 2020 at the retail price of $59.99. With all their work put into the game, let's see just how it held up in the final product. Ghost of Tsushima is my jam, guys. I love Japanese culture along with the art that comes with it. One day, I will go to Japan, but for now, Ghost of Tsushima will have to do. The reason I bring any of this up is because just how amazing the Ghost of Tsushima looks. It's so stylized. While the world looks beautiful and the facial animations could be a touch better, Ghost of Tsushima has an amazing way of hiding the UI. While exploring the island of Tsushima, you'll be guided by the wind. The freaking wind, guys! Instead of having a compass constantly glued to your screen, you can follow the way the wind blows in order to find your way to any location you choose to go. Since there's nothing on your screen, it makes exploration feel a lot more natural while allowing you to see the beautiful island of Tsushima. Collectibles are such a joy to collect since the world has ways of showing you where they are, like a fox that shows you where shrines are, or these gates that will lead you to these charms. Sucker Punch really wanted the environment to be your guide throughout the game, and it honestly rocks. Along with an amazing way to travel the world, Ghost of Tsushima also has a kick-butt way to track progression too. You know how earlier I said the team didn't use any real people from history in this game? Well, they found a pretty cool way around that. Instead of actually reliving the invasion, the game presents itself in a way to make it seem like you're a legend with your tales being told for your quests. Like, seriously, your main quests and side quests are literally called tales, and the more tales you complete, the more your legend grows. It's awesome. While playing the game feels like reliving legends, the cutscenes make you feel like you're watching an old samurai movie. Whenever there's a cutscene, the screen gets cropped, and when there are action sequences, they are almost always shown in a standoff format with our hero on the left and our baddie on the right, as they wait for that one blow to finish each other off. This is one of the most stylized games I've played. I have never gushed over a UI more in my life. You can tell art director Jason Conwell pulled out all the stops for this game. All these elements work very closely with the gameplay. Ghost of Tsushima is an open-world action combat game with a heavy focus on combat. Like, a really heavy focus on combat. This dude carries an entire army in his pocket. He could give Link a run for his money. The Ghost carries a variety of weapons to kill his foes. Your main weapon is your katana. This will be used for a majority of your fighting. Your katana has a normal attack and a heavy attack. The normal attack explains itself, while the heavy attack has two uses. The first use is to deal extra damage to an enemy at the cost of having a longer wind-up time, but the second reason is to break the guards of the baddies in Tsushima. The main enemy of Tsushima is the Mongol army, but every once in a while you'll see bandits trying to take advantage of the current situation. There are 6 enemy types in the game: a swordsman, a shieldsman, a spearsman, a brute, an archer, and finally, warlords. These warlords mostly fall into one of the other categories, but at a higher level. In order to better defeat these enemies, the Ghost of Tsushima will unlock different stances. Each stance has a specific use. The first stance given to you is the stone stance. This stance is for breaking swordsman's guards extremely quickly. The water stance will help you break shieldsman's guards. The wind stance will allow you to break the spearman guard. And the last stance is the moon stance. This stance allows you to break brute's guards. These stances are unlocked by killing Mongol warlords. Each one you kill will get you closer to unlocking a new stance. I was able to unlock all 4 stances in the first act of the game, which is about the first third of the game. You can also use stealth to kill the Mongol army. Along with this stealth comes ghost weapons. Ghost weapons consist of throwable kunais, smoke bombs, and sticky bombs. These can be used to silently kill your enemies from the shadows or break up large groups of enemies. If sneaking around doesn't sound like your style, then walking into a Mongol camp and shouting at your enemies might be better for you. This is basically how standoffs work. You can start a standoff when you see an enemy from a certain distance. This is one of my favorite mechanics this game has to offer, since you basically recreate one of those samurai movie battles. But if that doesn't feed your inner Tengen enough, there are some pretty flashy special moves you can get your hands on. These are called mythic moves, and they are only found through optional side quests, so the only way to obtain them is by exploring the island of Tsushima. These moves will use up your resolve meter. This meter allows you to use mythic moves, but it also can heal you from damage, so using your resolves become a strategy within itself. You can fill this meter by killing enemies, and you can upgrade its max capacity later on in your playthrough. Did you think I was done? Ha! You're funny. The Ghost also carries around ranged weapons that consist of 2 bows, a half bow and a heavy bow, throwables like bombs and bells for distracting enemies and helping with stealth, a blowgun that allows you to poison your enemies while being completely silent. All of these ranged weapons have multiple ammo types, but I don't hate myself enough to get that nitpicky about it. The Ghost of Tsushima's progression system is heavily dependent on your exploration. Get ready to be called Chris because you're gonna make a lot of discoveries. One of the most common locations to stumble upon are Mongol bases. The Mongol bases are where you can unlock new stances like I talked about earlier, but you can also earn skill points here. But the Ghost of Tsushima does a skill tree system pretty differently. Once you defeat all the Mongols in a Mongol camp, you will earn some legend status. While adding on to your legend, you will earn skill points. Once you earn enough, your legend will grow. This game gives you different titles depending on how much of a legend you are in the land of Tsushima. These skill points can be used to upgrade any of your weapons, stances, and equipment. But if you want to upgrade your max health or your max resolve, you're going to need to find specific locations. Thankfully, exploration is very easy to navigate in this game while being extremely unique. You see, you can track these question marks on your map, and the guiding wind will direct you into that location. Most of the time, these locations will end up being fox dens. These foxes will want you to follow them since they're taking you to a fox shrine that will upgrade your charm slot. Charm slots are passive upgrades to your kit, increasing melee damage or extra health gained while using Resolve. So gaining more slots allows you to customize your build. You can find these charms by completing side quests or by climbing broken shrines around Tsushima. There are also these bamboo strike stands around Tsushima. These stands allow you to play a fun mini-game where you have to hit 7 buttons in a row at a certain speed to win. Once you win, you get an upgrade towards your Resolve meter. Once done with that, you can also take a dip in a hot spring in order to increase your max health. Isn't that right, Ghost? Oh my god, he's naked. Thankfully, he doesn't need to be for long. The Ghost of Tsushima has a ton of cosmetic choices, from armor, which I didn't realize until halfway through the game actually gives you like extra passive abilities, like the charms. You can obtain headbands by finding haiku spots throughout the world. Here you can compose a haiku, and once done you will receive a headband. Masks are either given with armor sets or given as rewards for doing side quests around the island. Now, I got really confused with this method since you don't get the mask for doing the side quest. Instead, once you have done a certain amount of the side quest, you can travel to one of these big temples where you will find a gift altar where you can retrieve your masks. It took me a long while to find that out. That sums up most of what Ghost of Tsushima has to offer for gameplay. You can probably tell just how big this game is. I will say one of the things though, half of these items are locked behind side quests, so if you want the full experience of playing the Ghost of Tsushima, you're gonna have to explore this wonderful world. But what set you down this path of assassination, burning camps, and fighting for Tsushima? Well, it all started on a beach, where samurai line up ready to take on the Mongol army. One man opens the fight by calling for the strongest soldier on the Mongol side to face him. This leads to the man being burned alive. This causes the fight to truly start, as hordes of samurai and Mongols rush at each other. Jin Sakai and his uncle, the Lord of Tsushima, rush in together to take down as many Mongols as they can. Unfortunately, there are too many Mongols for them to take down all at once, and they are quickly swarmed. Jin is taken down and his uncle is taken captive. As the wind blows, it shows that Jin has just a little more fight left in him. He wakes up in a village where the Mongols are continuing their invasion. He makes his way into a house where he can find his broken armor. He puts it on and continues to look for his sword. As he leaves the house, a woman comes through the door, and this woman is the one who helped him survive his wounds. She tells him to hide as a Mongol soldier comes into the house. Once the soldier has turned his back to the woman, she takes him out from behind. Jin is conflicted by this action as he is a samurai, and to strike someone from the shadows is an unhonorable way of killing. He brushes it off and continues through the village where he finds his sword. Now with it back, he can fight. He fights off the Mongols and takes a horse. The woman has a lost brother in the war, and Jin agrees to help her get him back. But first, he has to save his uncle. The two make their way to the castle where Jin takes on the Khan, but his ways are no match for this general, and he is quickly defeated and thrown off a bridge. He makes it out of the river and meets up with the lady. With no way of saving his uncle alone, he must gather allies around the islands, so it's off to save the woman's brother since he's an amazing blacksmith. There's just one problem, since the Mongol army likes to kill any hostages if under attack, meaning to save her brother, Jin must abandon his ways to save not only one man, but his entire island. Ghost of Tsushima has a great story. I love the conflict in Jin's actions as he has to do the opposite of everything he knows in order to save his home and the people in it. While that is a very interesting concept to watch unfold, I love the way it tells the story. I've never dropped my jaw so much watching every new step unfold. It was a blast to play through just to find out what would happen next. The story is amazing and I love the exploration just as much. This game is at its best when you just want to go around and explore the world. It's where the most content lies. To be honest, if you're just going to play the story, you're going to miss out on a lot of what the game has to offer. While this is something I normally despise in games, Ghost of Tsushima's map makes it so much better since while you ride through the world, you can uncover locations and fast travel basically to any one of them, even if you haven't completed it. You will have to visit it at least once though. The combat is great, but I did get overwhelmed by it around halfway through the game since I was unlocking so much and not really knowing how to use any of it. I was dealing with a bunch of trial and error leading to a lot of death. But once I focused on just one element and mastering it, that opened up a whole lot of gameplay elements to play around with. I went from just dying to 3 enemies to taking down entire camps without being hit just because I knew how to use my tools. It felt amazing. Ghost of Tsushima is the perfect game for getting into the open world genre of games. I kind of wished I would have played this game before playing Breath of the Wild, just because it probably would have made that playthrough a lot easier for me to understand, since everything in the UI is just so well organized and makes it so easy to understand all of your main quests and side quests you have going on. So, in my opinion, I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is just one of those games that is a must play for anyone who is into action fighting games, who wants to jump into an open world game without feeling overwhelmed. Thank you all for watching this episode. I hope it helped you, and I hope you enjoyed my take on the Ghost of Tsushima. Thank you all so much for watching. You can't see it, but I'm waving you all goodbye. See you guys. Phase 1 of Plan Escape is a go.